Have you ever wanted to make your own bread? Something like this? Or perhaps something more along this line, a French baguette or two? Wonderful for sub sandwiches, fresh baked, crispy crust, or how about hamburger buns? Throw a little sesame seed on the top, you're good to go. Or how about bolillos for homemade Mexican tortas? What if I told you you could make all of these breads, all from the same simple 4 ingredient dough mix, without a mixer, without any special equipment? Are you ready? Let's do it. So we're going to start with 20 ounces of warm water, 100 degrees or so, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a tablespoon of active dry yeast. I buy it in bulk and put it in these little jars that I've saved. The yeast is dormant in its dry state, and the warm water and sugar both revitalizes it and gives it some nutrition. Now we're going to whisk this, and then we're going to grab the flour. I like to use this Bluebird flour. It comes in a cotton bag. It comes from Cortez, Colorado. I think it's made in fairly small batches. Good stuff. You can get it in 5, 10, and 20-pound bags, and it's not a bad price either. I have read that it's a little higher protein content than general purpose flour. And we're going to put 5 cups in there. You can see how carefully I measure. Put all that in there. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt to that. And we're going to whisk this up really good so the salt gets all mixed up in there. We're going to let this yeast sugar water sit for about 5-10 minutes until it foams up like this. And then we're going to do a dump and pour. Make sure you swirl it around and get all that yeast in there. And we're going to use one of these silicone mats because if you've done any baking with flour, this stuff dries like concrete and it's impossible to get off of things, out of dish rags, sponges. So my wife has trained me very well. In fact, she bought me this mat and it works wonderfully. So here we are. We're using a little silicone spatula. We're going to mix this up. Now remember, this is only flour, salt, the yeast mix, again, which is water and yeast and sugar. That's all we got in here. Pretty basic. This is what they call a shaggy dough. See how it's all it's not uniform. It's in bits and pieces, barky, shaggy, I don't know what you want to call that. And it's very wet at this point and not mixed well. So we're going to mix this by hand. You get your hand nice and wet. Get it in here and just start working it. It's going to stick to your fingers a bit. And that's why you should only use one hand and keep it in the bowl. Adding a little flour as I feel it's needed. It looks so dry right now, but trust me, that's all going to get absorbed into there. Start sucking up that moisture. A little bit of flour stuck on the bottom, so what I'll do is just drizzle a little water in there with my fingers, kind of grab that up. When you use a bread machine and you dump a bunch of ingredients into it and you turn it on, you have no feel for the dough. You don't know what it feels like or how hydrated it is. Same thing when you use a stand mixer. Pour it all in, knead it for 8 minutes. Well, that's how I started making bread. But I really didn't learn much about dough until I started mixing it by hand. And it isn't hard. I'm in my 60s and I have arthritis in my hands, and maybe this is even good for you. So you get all the little bits off. We're going to cover this up and let it sit for 10, 15 minutes, whatever, maybe 20 minutes. Now we're going to come back and take a look. Looks very similar. Again, we're going to get our hand wet. You see it's staying together. It's not smooth. It's not uniform. It doesn't stretch. It needs to be kneaded. And we all need to be kneaded. Then I'm taking one of those plastic bowl scrapers and getting all the stuff off the inside. I don't know why I bother. It's a minuscule amount. And now we're going to put this on the silicone mat and we're going to start working it. You can see how sticky it is. So we put some flour down and roll it around in the flour and get it in there. Roll it around and that'll pick up all that bits of flour. Keep it from sticking. A little more flour and here we go. Now this is how I like to knead. It's just fold, roll, push, roll. 100 different ways. You can stretch it, split it, you can roll it. And this, again, I think what's most important is how the dough feels after you go through these stages. So this is the first kneading and it's probably about 3-4 minutes. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. You get the idea. Flip, roll, flip, push, roll, flip, roll. All right, we're going to drop that in there, sprinkle a little water on top. We're going to cover it again. Another 10-15 minutes, and now look how it's grown. So it rose probably 30%. 40%, I don't know, something like that. We're going to pull it back out again. It's still kind of sticky. And you can see how it's hanging together now. Back onto the silicone mat. Now again, same process. Fold, knead, fold, knead. Again, about 3 minutes. We're going to need a little flour on there. So again, I prefer to use the Bluebird flour. It's got a cool bag. When the bag's empty, you can use it to proof your own bread. So here I am, working the dough some more. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, but again, it probably went for another 3 minutes or so. And you kind of get a feel for it. You can feel when it's working. Another cool thing you could do with the empty bag would be to make a baking apron. Now I have one that's camouflage color. You can make an apron, a smock, or maybe a Speedo and a halter top for when you head to the beach there. Hey, tough guy? Here the dough is much more workable. And here I'm forming a dough ball, which is pretty typical. Whether you're making pizza dough or anything, you make a dough ball. Rolling it, tucking it back, pinching it, rolling it, tucking it back. Pinching it, flattening it out. This whole process is very therapeutic for me. Put some headphones on, maybe some Pink Floyd, maybe some Led Zeppelin, maybe a little Olivia Newton-John. So when I'm done with this, we're going to cover it back up and let it sit for another 15, 20, 25 minutes and prepare for the final kneading. It's really starting to look good. Look how smooth it is. The texture is different. It's swelling. It looks wonderful. We're going to do a little stretch test here. There's the window pane test. Now, I'm not talking about window pane from the 60s and 70s. This is a window pane test where you stretch the dough and then you look through it and see if you can see light. Well, you don't have to look through it. You can get a feel for it after you do it a few times when it starts to stretch without tearing. And it should get pretty thin. So this is not quite ready yet, so we're going to knead again. It's probably another 2 or 3 minutes, flattening, rolling, flipping. Now we're going to split it into two. If you were making baguettes, you could split this into 4. If you were making it into hamburger buns, maybe 90 grams per bun. I'm just going to use this knife careful not to cut the silicone mat. We're just going to push right through there. That looks pretty damn close to half to me. Wouldn't you know, it is pretty close. 702 grams. Now we know we're aiming for 710 or 11 to get it halfway. Ooh, 711 grams. Could you do this on the first go? That's incredible. 712. I'll call that close enough. Get rid of the scale. So this bread is going to turn into regular sandwich bread. So I'll drizzle a little bit of oil in there and wipe it around so that it allows the bread to release. Generally, the bread is cooked through and through completely. They pop out pretty easy. So the first one, I'm going to roll and shape. Just work the dough a little bit more. And this may seem like work, but it really isn't. It's, to me, very relaxing. It's very honest work making bread. People have been making bread this way for centuries without all the gadgets, the mixers, the bread machines, the Amazon accoutrements. You could just take this round like that and throw it in the oven after it rises and bake it like that. You'd have a nice round loaf. You can add cheddar, jalapeno at this point. You can score the top. You can add flour on the top. You can put sesame seeds on the top. Everything spice, whatever you want to do. The thing is that this is just a basic dough, and you can do what you like with it. Don't be intimidated where there's a baguette recipe, a white bread loaf recipe, a hamburger bun recipe, a hot dog bun recipe. Keep in mind, this is just a basic dough recipe, and you can adapt it to many different uses. But I think if you follow along and you make something like this, you might really enjoy it, and then you'll learn to branch out and do more specialized bakes. So there we are, rolling it into a ball again. In fact, this one we're going to speed up because you already saw me do the other one. Flatten, roll, kind of stretching it out, elongating it a little bit, and I'm going to put it in this bread pan. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of water on the top, pat it down, and then I'm going to cover it with a plastic bag. This is, I don't know, they're 1 gallon plastic bags. I've always called them bread bags, but I'm just going to fold it in there. It keeps it from drying out. I don't like it when the dough gets a little crust on the outside. Anyways, we're going to throw foil on that and drop that right into the freezer. So the day before you want to bake it, take it out of the freezer, put it into the fridge. The next morning, remove it, cover it, allow it to warm up and rise. Should take 2 or 3 hours till it's ready. The loaf that I'm going to bake today, I covered. Now I'm coming back, about 30, 45 minutes later, and this is what it should look like. Beautiful. Do not poke or touch the top of the bread or the crown, or it will deflate. This is what it looks like just before we pop it into the oven. I have a very nice high-end kitchen area just for baking because I live in the desert and we don't want to heat the house up. So we're going to take it out here to the baking area. Yeah, the garage. This is a double door air fryer oven. Absolutely wonderful. Cook outside when I bake in the summer. Then I don't have to cool the house down. 425 for 5 minutes. That should give us a little oven spring. Get the bread to rise a little bit. After 5 minutes or so, I'm going to come out and drop it to 375. And this is what it looks like. So we baked it a total of about 25 minutes. Could have gone a few more minutes. A little tap on there, a love tap like the Three Stooges or Benny Hill. And then that crap, I needed another hand here. Set the camera on. There we go. See, a little bit of dough stuck on the inside of the pan, ripped away there, but it doesn't matter. So you got to let the bread cool for a bit, 15-20 minutes. I didn't wait, but I sliced it okay with an electric bread knife, which makes all the difference. If you like this video, who knows what I'm going to do next. Stay tuned.